Next position, because we talked about it a little bit. Actually, no, I'm going to stay in order. I have wide receiver up here. I don't think there's anything crazy right now. I think a lot of people think wide receivers need, probably because it is. I think this one's short and sweet, but a high priority. You need field stretching and bucket getters at wide receiver. You need somebody to help the offense breathe. You need somebody that you can push the ball downfield to, who can win downfield, who can threaten defenses, stretch defenses, catch the ball downfield, and dudes who can win one-on-one in a variety of ways, right? Now, this could be in one guy or it could be multiple guys. You just need somebody or somebodies who can create some easy buttons for you via spacing and matchups. That's it. Again, you could get a legit, like if you trade for Justin Jefferson, cool, there it is. Field stretcher, bucket getter, you're good, right? Alec Pierce, field stretcher, bucket getter. Michael Pittman, I think he's a guy who can get you a bucket. I wouldn't call him a field stretcher, but he can win downfield because he's athletic. He's got good hands and he knows how to use his body. I do think Pittman is a middle to high end wide receiver 2 type of guy, and that's a fine guy to add. I still think you need to add field stretching, right? Honestly, it's not ideal, but like Brandon Cooks and Michael Pittman, cool, welcome them back. That's fun. You need some combination of field stretching and bucket getters. That's it. And again, it could be all in one guy. It could be in multiple guys. I do think you're going to need multiple additions at wide receiver. Tyrell Shavers is likely out for the year or out for a very long time because of his knee injury that occurred against Jacksonville. I think Curtis Samuel is an easy and realistic cut candidate just because he can't stay on the field. And even when he is on the field, he's not being used a ton. So you're going to need to add 2 receivers right there. They brought in Brandon Cooks. He's seeing significant snaps. Yeah, I think you need to add at least 2 wide receivers, and I think that comes via free agency or trade and the draft. You need to add at least 2 wide receivers. So both guys could be speed. Both guys could be bucket getters. Both guys could be a combination of speed and bucket getters. It could be one of one. It could be whatever. But you need guys that strike fear into a defense in some way, shape, or form. It's got to be somebody where the defense is either like, oh, do we got to put a safety over the top for that guy? Or the defense is like, oh, well, we can't leave that dude one-on-one backside in a 3-by-1 because dude just wins. It's got to be something like that. And again, that could be all one guy, right? It could be one dude where it's like, oh man, we need to shade over the top because he's super fast. And he could also route you up in the underneath and the intermediate. Oh, we need to give some help. It could be a true 1. It could be a high-end 3 and a high-end 2. It could be 2 middle-of-the-road 2s. It could be Michael Pittman and Rashid Shaheed. Like, it could be some combination. I think you need multiple dudes at wide receiver, and I think it's a high priority. The Bills' offense ran through the run, no pun intended. The guy who called the run game and designed the run game is Aaron Cromer, and he is gone. So even if everything with the run game stayed the same and you knew it was going to be sick again, and you knew it was going to be one of the best in the league, and you knew James Cook was going to lead the league in rushing, if you got everything that you got last year, right? Even with all that, not having dudes at wide receiver in some shape or form cost this Bills offense and made the Bills offense get stuck in the mud more often than it should have, right? If the offense can't breathe, if defenses can just walk down guys into the box and play numbers, the run game's going to suffer and it's going to be tough sledding. And if the Bills couldn't run the ball, they tended to have a lot of problems offensively this year and the year before, right? So get yourself some dudes on the outside. It's not just for the pass game. In a vacuum, it is, but it also helps the run game. That's also partly why ideally you're getting guys who are top of the depth chart guys who are going to see regular snaps. Ideally, you're not just adding gadget guys or gimmick guys who, when they come in, like Curtis Samuel would come in and everybody like, okay, cool. He's either going to run across the field or he's going to run vertical, right? Because he wasn't in there regularly. Ideally, you're adding guys on the field or adding guys who are going to be on the field regularly. So it's like, hey, they might block. Hey, they might run underneath. Hey, they might run in the intermediate. They might push vertical. They might you need to, again, increase the variability and the unknown factor. And I think you need multiple guys at the wide receiver spot. Ideally, guys who can stretch the field, guys who are bucket getters. It could be a combination. It could be, all in one for one guy, multiple guys. It could be 1-1, guys who lean one way or the other, but they're still good enough in the other areas to be top of the depth chart type of dudes. I'm fine with Josh Palmer as a player. I'll touch on that briefly. I just don't think he's meant to be top of the depth chart guy. I thought he was a fine complementary piece. I think he can beat man coverage well in the underneath and the intermediate, but he was a career wide receiver 3 at the Chargers. I think he can moonlight as a 2 at times against the right defense and in the right situation, but Josh Palmer should not be the guy at the top of your depth chart. Keon Coleman should not be the guy at the top of your depth chart right now. We know what Khalil Shakir is, and I think he's a really great auxiliary piece and useful piece, but you need guys ahead of him, right? I think in an ideal world, ideal world, Josh Palmer is your 3. You've got 2 guys ahead of him, right? In an ideal world for me, you've got 2 guys at the top. Then it's Shakir and Palmer and Keon Coleman for this year. That's my ideal thought. But it's gonna be tough to get that done, I think. But we'll see. I wanted to go back to this from Charles, who said Dobbs, Romeo Dobbs plus a top 60 pick. I like Romeo Dobbs. I don't think it necessarily helps you from a field stretching standpoint, but I do think he can help you from a bucket getter standpoint. He is somebody who I trust to separate. I think he's more like a better version Josh Palmer. Again, not somebody who's going to win downfield. Like, you have to add a field stretcher to Dobbs. Like, it's got to be, again, top 60 pick, cool. It could be him and Brennan Thompson, like from Mississippi State, or it's Dubs and Rashid Shaheed. Like, I'm going to keep using that because of the archetype with that Shaheed is. It can be Dubs plus a field stretcher. You've got to add that element. I don't think Dobbs is that field stretcher by himself, but I do think he has some semblance of a bucket getter that can do that for you, which is fun. So I wouldn't hate that. But that top 60 pick then has to be a field stretcher. He's got to have verticality. He's got to have the ability to strike fear into defenses if he goes deep. And he's got to be able to win deep. It's not just like, oh, he's fast. He's got to be able to track the ball, come down with it, go up, get it. Because Allen's been a not good deep ball thrower. So you got to have some dudes who can win for you a little bit. Guys who can go up, play through contact, go up, high point the football, make the catch, know when to stop and come back through, maybe draw some pass interference, even though I hate that. As a defensive guy, I hate that. I hate that pass interference gets called on DBs on underthrown balls. It's garbage, but you need somebody with some type of nuance and ability downfield. It can't just be speed. But yeah, so Dobbs was a top 60 pick, but that top 60 pick has to lean speed for me. Yes, IDL 716 says you can't have all 5'10" route runners. That's fair. Noah says he wants 2 elite wide receivers. I would like that, but yeah. Oh, yeah, Charles. Charles says sign Cooks and Dubs, draft Brennan Thompson round 2. Not sexy, but it works. I think Brennan Thompson is a sexy. I think his speed is crazy. His speed is crazy. He runs past dudes with ease. He's also got a decent amount of nuance. I don't think he's got a full route tree, but I don't think he's just a vertical guy or a speed guy, but yeah, I think that would be sexy. I think Dubs, Brennan Thompson is very sexy. I would say that. As Luke says, ideally Palmer's wide receiver 4, but I have a feeling he'll be RZ. Yeah, or he'll get some stuff at X. I think Palmer's going to end up being the wide receiver 2. I think the top 4 is going to end up being somebody. Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. I think that's what the top 4 is going to end up being. But ideally, I think you need 2 guys ahead of Palmer. I'm not saying Shakir is wide receiver 3. I'm just talking about the functionality and the role that he plays. Joey says, if Ayuk is available, would you take a swing? On the skill set and ability? Sure. On everything else? No. They can't afford to take a swing on too much of an unknown quantity. And with everything that went down with Ayuk and San Francisco, even going back some years, like when he was still balling out, he was in the doghouse with Kyle Shanahan before that. I just think there's a lot of smoke to that fire, and they can't afford to get that position wrong, especially for what Ayuk is going to command from a monetary perspective and a cap hit perspective. So for me, no, I don't think they're in a position to take that risk. Granted, it could work out and he could be amazing. I just think it's too risky. I can't take it. Todd says, what about Christian Kirk from the Texans? Sure. as that deep guy and that role player. But then again, you need to add a true top of the depth chart guy with him. He can be that complementary piece.